Hi everyone. Quick disclaimer before we get started on our Bible reading for today. I am in my room, but it is kind of messy because we're currently renovating and cleaning it, so it's just kind of all over the place right now. So don't mind it. This is just the setup for today and maybe a few more days. But here we go. This is Exodus chapter 14, verse 1 through 25. Sorry, it was a long section. I was trying to find it. So this is called Crossing the Red Sea. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and camp in front of Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, in front of Baal-zephon. You shall camp opposite it by the sea. Pharaoh will say of the Israelites, they are wandering aimlessly in the land. The wilderness has closed in on them. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them, so that I will gain glory for myself over Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord." And they did so. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, the minds of Pharaoh and his officials were changed toward the people, and they said, "What have we done, letting Israel leave our service?" So he had his chariot made way, took his army with him. He took 600 picked chariots and all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the Israelites, who were going out boldly. The Egyptians pursued them, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, his chariot drivers and his army. They overtook them, camped by the sea, by Phith-Merhath, in front of Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh drew near, the Israelites looked back, and there were the Egyptians advancing on them. In great fear, the Israelites cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us, bringing us out of Egypt? Is this not the very thing we told you in Egypt? Let us alone and let us serve the Egyptians. For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." But Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid, stand firm, and see the deliverance that the Lord will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to keep still." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why do you cry out to me? Tell the Israelites to go forward. But you lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, that the Israelites may go into the sea on dry ground. Then I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them. And so I will gain glory for myself over Pharaoh and all his army, his chariots and his chariot drivers. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gained glory for myself over Pharaoh, his chariots and his chariot drivers." The angel of God, who was going before the Israelite army, moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud moved from in front of them and took its place behind them. It came between the army of Egypt and the army of Israel. So the cloud was there with the darkness, and it lit up the night. One did not come near the other all night. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. The Lord drove the sea back by a strong east wind all night, turned the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. The Israelites went into the sea on dry ground, the waters forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued and went into the sea after them, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and chariot drivers. At the morning watch, the Lord in the pillar of fire and cloud looked down upon the Egyptian army and threw the Egyptian army into panic. He clogged their chariot wheels so that they turned with difficulty. The Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the Israelites, for the Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Okay, so we basically learn this is the crossing of the Red Sea story. And if you don't know the Red Sea story, it's basically at the last part of this where the Israelites are leaving, trying to get away from the Egyptians, and basically this Red Sea parts. God makes it part, and the people can get through. And then we will learn in the next small section tomorrow about if the Israelites make it before the waters close, or if the Egyptians make it, or what all happens. I know what happens, but we'll have to find out tomorrow what happens. So basically they're just God and the Lord is just trying to say that He is Lord of all lords, God of all gods. He is literally everything, number one. That's it. So then the Israelites are with God, and God are on the Israelite side, and they're trying to get away from the Egyptians. So they do. And at first, right, in the wilderness, and then Pharaoh was like, why did we let them go again, going back and forth from the plagues, saying like, oh no, we shouldn't have let them go, so they're gonna go try to get them again, and they're gonna be possibly persecuted again. But the pillar, cloud and fire pillar of the angel, was still there protecting them, like God said the angel would, protecting them all throughout the night. And then in the morning we see the Red Sea and it parting, and the Israelites starting to go through and across it. So it was a lot of information, but that's about it for this story. We'll find out what happens with the waters and all that tomorrow in the end of chapter 14. That's it. He's just going to lead them away from the Egyptians' goddess, so the Israelites will be saved. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.